and we fell into each other's arms as easily as we fell down the stairs of whoever's house party we were at.
I don't know, like, exactly how it was. I mean, I went to, like, a sleepaway camp for, like, a bunch of years, and just, I don't know, asking, like, a lot of the older kids who are, like, my brother's friends and our counselors, like, we would just ask them, like, random questions about sex.
So, like, how old were you?
When I started asking, I mean, I started asking about girls probably by the time I was, like, 9, 10, but, like, stupid shit. I'll be honest, I thought the way you made a baby when I was like probably 4 or 5, was that you peed into the vagina. Cause I was like, well, what else comes out of there? I don't get, like, so I didn't think there was actually sex. I thought you just, like, kind of stand up and aim for it.
So, like, I will give myself an orgasm if someone doesn't help me get an orgasm, because, like, it's really important to me.
Rebecca Winokur is the first girl I love, I think.
Can I see your sexy face?
That's not my sexy face. Like, if I'm going to a party, it's because I want to have fun with my friends. Like, if I'm going to hook up with someone, it's going to be someone, I want it to be someone that, like, I at least, like, know of, or know a little bit about, or know their friends, or know what they're about, like, before I just go and, like, randomly hook up.
So you have to know their background.
Exactly.
The whole story.
Not the whole story. I mean, like, the, like, person I'm, like, hooking up with right now, I didn't really know them before we started hooking up, but, like, we're getting to know each other.
Single but involved. Okay, you want to explain that a little bit?
Well, because I'm not, like, not hooking up with anyone. Like, I'm not, like, dating anyone. I'm not in a relationship with anyone, but I'm having relations with someone.
R looked at S's forehead, then down to her sharp chin, and slowly returned to her huge pupils. She never stopped trying to figure S out. She wondered if she ever would. When her eyes met back with S's, she wondered if she was thinking something similar.
I think it can be an activity, something that's fun for people to do, but I also think it can be like a sign of showing your love for someone. I mean, I don't know. I have no, like, real working definition of sex other than it's fun and can make you feel close to people. I think it's like, and I find it, like, a very intimate, like, I mean, obviously it's intimate, but, like, I feel like just, like, being naked with someone is, like, very, like, you're really kind of, like, putting yourself out there, and, like, it's a very, like, vulnerable state. I think that's what kind of makes it so great, is that it's just two people being vulnerable together and coming together.
What do I consider love? Not being able to imagine living without them.
Yeah. Think that you've ever, like, been in love?
No.
She was really smart. She was the valedictorian of our high school. I think she took, like, something like 8 APs, by her, like, senior year. And then she also had a little bit of a drinking problem.
I think if you're looking for something, like, you want to find a partner, but you're like, oh, I'm just gonna have casual sex, it always ends up being more serious than you think it's gonna be. But 2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
Can you explain the a half to me?
Yeah. Okay, 3. I don't know. I had a girlfriend last year who I told her that I loved her after. Sienna, I love you. And it was really cute. And then the summer, I got kind of awkward and weird once we left here. And she started saying it a lot more than I did, and I'm not someone who says I love you a lot, even though I feel it really strongly. So that was kind of weird for me, and then things got weird and it didn't really end well, and now I kind of look back on it with some contempt, so maybe that's why I call it a half. But I mean, I did love her.
I spoke in circles. I felt as though each word I was saying was one of my feet, and it was alternating, not right and left, but right, left, right. It was awkward. I was awkward as I expressed to you that I felt we should kiss, because we owed it to ourselves.
It's weird, you know, when I feel like I have such a definitive idea of what sex is and what sex isn't, but at the same time it's really hard for me to articulate what that is. So like I know what it is, but I don't know how to say what it is.
But it was awkward because it was just like funny. This one guy that I was hooking up with, we were like making out and stuff, wanted to have sex, and I was like, oh, I don't have casual sex, and he was like, why? And I was like, I just don't feel comfortable with it yet. Like, I had just gotten out of a long relationship, and I didn't feel comfortable having sex with people that I didn't know very well. So I was like, yeah, I just don't have casual sex. And he was like, but why? And he just like didn't understand it. And then he was like, after I told him that I just like didn't have sex with people I didn't know very well, he was like, well, I can take you out on a date. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really dating right now.
But I don't know, so I met her my senior year actually. I had like one of those people, you know, you always never meet, but we like hooked up within like 20 minutes of meeting each other, and I really liked her, you know, she was really sweet, a little bit of a drunk, and I broke up with her pretty quick, and apparently she got up to all sorts of fucked up shit. It's like really weird when you learn people do fucked up shit and you like know them.
Then we like made out in her backyard because it was like her backyard was just like fields, so we just like made out like in the field for like 20 minutes.
For 20 minutes? Wow. 8th grade. All right. So do you make out with boys these days?
No.
No.
Never that. No, of course.
Okay.
I think love is when you care about someone so much that you, well, a few things. One, I think you care so much about them that you want them to be happy.
Hell, she is like a virus. Once she strikes, I have to take serious drugs to get her out of my system. How would you define losing your virginity? The same way that you define sex?
Just like those kind of like moments where you're like kind of like not actively having sex, but like kind of like.
I define sex as I don't define sex by well, it has to be consensual. That's the predominant characteristic of it for me. I think it can be defined in a variety of different ways. Personally, oral sex I don't define as like sex. I think I define them differently.
Oh my god, reverse this. Okay, it was in 8th grade, and it was our 8th grade like graduating trip, and we went to Islands of Adventure in Orlando, and we were on the bus. Everybody was on the bus on the way over there, and I was sitting next to my boyfriend on the bus. And
What was his name?
Pedro Fons. I still know him. And I was really embarrassed, so I had this blanket because it was really cold on the bus, and we like put it over our heads, and we kissed, and then my friends were sitting behind us, and like in between the two seats, like the blanket was over our head, but since they were behind us, they saw us kissing, and then they made the biggest deal, and I was really embarrassed.
I remember my parents got me this book when my cousin was being born. I forget what it was called, but it like basically explained it. It was like a cartoon book kind of, and it was like very like upfront about what goes on, but like I was never explained to me, and it was mostly, that book was mostly about like puberty, but it also touched on the topic of like sex.
Tends to be like penetrative, but obviously not between two, like female-bodied and male-bodied, female-bodied and male-bodied individuals.
I was 15, and I had been dating this guy, Elliot Thompson, for a couple months, and we went to this birthday party for this guy that we didn't really know, but he was a friend of our friends. And it was like, I went to public school, so like a lot of the parties that I went to were like house parties and whatever, like apartment parties. And this was like a really bougie, like in a club, kind of like 16th birthday party. And like everyone was on coke, and it was like really crazy. And we were just like not into it. His family owns an art studio in Queens. So we were like, we're bored, like let's go. So we went to the studio. And we had like been drinking. He was definitely more drunk than I was, but I don't know, it kind of just like happened on the floor of the studio. It wasn't really that romantic. I didn't want to tell my friends because I was like the first of my close friends, girls at least, to have sex.
Weird. She would you know the sugar daddy sites. She would go to them, you know, these like 35-year-old dudes, and she'd hang out with them in New York City. So it'd be like a few months later, I finally got with her again, and we were talking. And I was really terrible at sex the first times, and she let me know. And she was like, I've had a few more sexual experiences, and then I started asking them about her.
Yeah.
And then, like, I shouldn't have, right? But, you know, I knew. And then I dated her for 9 months.
Why do you think you shouldn't have asked her about them? Because you wish you didn't know.
Yeah.
But I wanted her in my arms. More than anything. I wanted her.
Well, fuck, like I can't just like leave you hanging now, like, or like for the other person, like if they finish and then you haven't finished yet, then it's like kind of like this like, well, like, all right, like now it's like we kind of need to like hurry things along because like you're gonna get bored, and like just like that moment after like the, you know, like the interim period, like because you just gotta like soak that in.
Like are so obviously trying to play their like gender script or like their role. And I just remember there was this one time where like there was this girl, and we like started fooling around or whatever, and she was just like, it was just like I just couldn't handle like her, how verbal she was. 'Cause I like, for some reason I just have a really negative reaction to when people like talk a lot in bed, but she was just like, fuck me, oh yeah, this is so hot.
The first person I tried to have sex with was very awkward for me. Because one, I really liked her, and two, I didn't know it was gonna happen, and I was like, I don't know, halfway through a handle of like, or not a handle, like a bottle of like Jack, and so I was just like shit-faced drunk and couldn't get it up, and I felt like so just embarrassed and like ashamed that like on my first try, like I couldn't get it up, and I was just like I was like, it was like a very defeated feeling, I guess, and like I guess somewhat emasculating, and I got over it. Like I realized it's not like the most uncommon thing, so.
My dad never talked about sex, really, ever growing up. He's older than my mom, and I think it was uncomfortable for him. My mom was very explicit. My mom told me that, I think she told me some of the stereotypical, like, you know, when a husband and wife love each other very much, and part of that could be, I picked that up from other places too, and it's all, you hear like the same stories, but I remember explicitly my mom saying to me that to have a baby, a man put his penis into a woman's vagina and ejaculated sperm. When I was 7, or around 7, and I don't think I knew what that was. Like, I don't think I had any idea what she was talking about. But so that was my idea of sex. And then I remember just thinking that sex was like people naked, like lying on top of each other with a man on top of the woman. That's what I thought sex was.
But you were also the first person who made me feel.